Alright, I'm going to explain troop composition in Clash of Kings. Now this is a subject that's pretty hard to find on the forums or on YouTube. So I think it's a good subject to touch upon. Okay, so first off, I'm only going to go into the army composition for P5. I don't really know the best troop setups for level 30 or 28. I mean, P5 is really the only one that matters. So you may think that having tier 10 troops is the best way to go when you're attacking just only tier 10, but that is incorrect. It's good to have multiple types of troops. As you can see, my troop production is not at P5 each, and so troop composition doesn't really take an effect yet, because that last skill point you get when you hit P5, for instance, multiple hit right here, that's really important. That pretty much makes troop composition viable. Alright, so when I march, I like to have the most archers. That's the biggest amount. There's two types of archers I like to use. I use tier 10, and I also use tier 7. Now you may be thinking, tier 7, that's not that good, but really it's quite a good unit. Especially the fact that it has multiple hit. Now, it would not be an effective unit to my troop composition if I didn't have Tier 5. So right now, it's not really useful, but as soon as I hit P5 in my troop production, it'll be useful. Very useful, actually. In fact, I have double the amount of Tier 7 archers than I have Tier 9 anything. So Tier 7 archers are really good, and they're really quick to train, because I just go over here and I go to hunt, and if you look at this, level 7 and lower troop training is 30%. So they're very cost effective to make, and their multiple hit skill is really nice. Another thing that's kind of a tip is I use Tier 6 infantry. It may look lower, but it's not. The shield wall is really effective. The King of Var server, who has about 300 million power, he has a lot of these. He says he has about 5 or 6 million. They're useful even to send on marches. You may lose a few more, but they are a good frontline unit. The Tier 8 is an attack soldier, and the Tier 9 is an attack soldier, so you're not really getting that defensive formation. You could argue that using only Tier 10, would work, which I assume, I guess it would, because you have the same skill, at the very bottom. But it's really nice to mix in some Tier 7 infantry. So I'll show you kind of my build and what I'm using. This is by no means perfect, but kind of just something I'm working with. It's good to have a little bit of each unit, because every unit counters another unit. Now, if you want to change this up, in my opinion, it would be more effective, is if you lower the amount of Tier 7 archers and you raise the amount of Tier 10. You could also run with full Tier 10, but, the guard and the Tier 7 archers are so cost effective to make. So I really enjoy using them, and in fights they hold their own. They're holding their own without the P5 skill point. Do not make the mistake of only sending in Tier 10. It's not as good. Now, I'm not sure if my Tier 9, Tier 8, Tier 7 is quite at the right composition, but I know I need them for my marches, even if it's just a few of them. Like, for instance, Tier 9 Archer, I have 4,700 of them. You look at him, he's a long-range unit, and he'll hit before the battle starts, the other side, and that's really effective for units that could make a difference to your front line. He's also really good for sieges. He's the best archer for sieges, the crossbowman, and that's tier 9 archer. He's far better than even tier 10 or tier 7 during defensive sieges. So everything has its place in a march. All right, so that's my video. I guess one last point is I've noticed a lot of the really high P5s are using archers, but they're going with the Viking civilization. I went with the Asian one because I get more archer attack, but that's just me. All right, that's a little bit of troop composition. It's pretty heavy stuff to get to know, but there's not a lot of other guides out there, so I'm just doing my best to let you know how to build your army.